Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
รายการของเรามีให้หลายภาษาโปรดดู suprememastertv.com/schedule
Let your body and your mind be turned into an inanimate object of nature, like a piece of stone or wood. When a state of perfect motionlessness and unawareness is obtained, all the signs of life will depart, and also every trace of limitation will vanish. Not a single idea will disturb your consciousness when, lo, all of a sudden you will come to realize a light abounding in full gladness. Please watch on for spiritual insights on Zen by the Reverend Thomas Merton.
Greetings, kind viewers. I'm Emily in dreamy New Orleans. We, the understanding people of the United States of America, send you our warm regards and support in all your unconditional good deeds. May God's grace always be there for you and yours. The Reverend Thomas Merton, an important Catholic mystic and spiritual thinker, was born in 1915 to a New Zealand father and an American mother. The many life situations he encountered in his youth led him to explore religion and spirituality and eventually devote his life to God by becoming a monk and later a deacon at the Abbey of Gethsemane, a part of the Order of Trappists in Kentucky, USA. He also enjoyed living alone in a hermitage in the monastery's wilderness area. During his monastic life, Thomas Merton developed his writing talent by translating religious texts and writing biographies. He also started penning poetry, as well as books and articles on topics ranging from spirituality to social justice and peace. One of Merton's most famous statements was, "For me, to be a saint means to be myself. Therefore, the problems of sanctity and salvation is in fact the problem of finding out who I am and of discovering my true self." He also said, "We are living in a world that is absolutely transparent, and God is shining through it all the time. This is not just a nice story or a fable, it is true." Believing in the equality of all religions, Thomas Merton became deeply interested in Eastern traditions such as Zen Buddhism in the last years of his life. He also held lively discourses with His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. Today, the Thomas Merton Center in Kentucky, the International Thomas Merton Society, and others continue to study the life and works of the wise Reverend. Today we'll read a selection from Thomas Merton's book, Thoughts on the East, presenting his views on the essence of Zen. On Zen. What exactly is Zen? If we read the laconic stories of the Zen masters, we find that this is a dangerously loaded question. Dangerous, above all, because the Zen tradition absolutely refuses to tolerate any abstract or theoretical answer to it. In fact, it must be said at the outset that philosophically or dogmatically speaking, the question probably has no satisfactory answer. Zen simply does not lend itself to logical analysis. The word Zen comes from the Chinese Chan, which designates a certain type of meditation, yet Zen is not a method of meditation or a kind of spirituality. It is a way and an experience, a life. But the way is paradoxically not a way. Zen is therefore not a religion, not a philosophy, not a system of thought, not a doctrine, not an ascesis. Like all forms of Buddhism, Zen seeks an enlightenment which results from the resolution of all subject-object relationships and oppositions in a pure void. But to call this void a mere negation is to re-establish the oppositions which are resolved in it. This explains the peculiar insistence of the Zen masters on neither affirming nor denying. Hence, it is impossible to attain satori, enlightenment, merely by quietistic inaction or the suppression of thought. Yet at the same time, enlightenment is not an experience or activity of a thinking and self-conscious subject. Still less is it a vision of Buddha or an experience of an I-thou relationship with a supreme being considered as object of knowledge and perception. However, Zen does not deny the existence of a supreme being either. It neither affirms nor denies, it simply is. One might say that Zen is the ontological awareness of pure being beyond subject and object, an immediate grasp of being in its suchness and thusness. But the peculiarity of this awareness is that it is not reflexive, not self-conscious, not philosophical, not theological. It is in some sense entirely beyond the scope of psychological observation and metaphysical reflection. For want of a better term, we may call it purely spiritual. In order to preserve this purely spiritual quality, the Zen masters staunchly refuse to rationalize or verbalize the Zen experience. They relentlessly destroy all figments of the mind or imagination that pretend to convey its meaning. They refuse to answer speculative or metaphysical questions, except with words which are utterly trivial and which are designed to dismiss the question itself as irrelevant. When asked if all phenomena return to the One, where does the One return to? The Zen master Joshu simply said, "When I lived in Seiju, I made a robe out of hemp, and it weighed 10 pounds. This is a useful and salutary mondo saying for the Western reader to remember. It will guard him against the almost irresistible temptation to think of Zen in Neoplatonic terms. Zen is not a system of pantheistic monism, a belief that nature is the totality. It is not a system of any kind. It refuses to make any statements at all about the metaphysical structure of being and existence. Rather, it points directly to being itself, without indulging in speculation." The Zen insight, as Bodhidharma indicates, consists in direct grasp of mind or one's original face. And this direct grasp implies rejection of all conceptual media or methods, so that one arrives at mind by having no mind. In fact, by being mind instead of having it. Zen enlightenment is an insight into being in all its existential reality and actualization. It is a fully alert and superconscious act of being, which transcends time and space. Such is the attainment of the Buddha mind or Buddhahood. Zen insight is at once a liberation from the limitations of the individual ego and a discovery of one's original nature and true face in mind, which is no longer restricted to the empirical self, but is in all and above all. Zen insight is not our awareness, but being's awareness of itself in us. This is not a pantheistic submersion or a loss of self in nature or the one. It is not a withdrawal into one's spiritual essence and a denial of matter and of the world. On the contrary, it is a recognition that the whole world is aware of itself in me and that I am no longer my individual and limited self, still less a disembodied soul, but that my identity is to be sought not in that separation from all that is, but in oneness with all that is. This identity is not the denial of my own personal reality, but its highest affirmation. It is a discovery of genuine identity in and with the One. A master saw a disciple who was very zealous in meditation. The master said, "Virtuous one, what is your aim in practicing Zazen meditation?" The disciple said, "My aim is to become a Buddha." Then the master picked up a tile and began to polish it on a stone in front of the hermitage. The disciple said, "What is the master doing?" The master said, "I am polishing this tile to make it a mirror." The disciple said, "How can you make a mirror by polishing a tile?" The master replied, "How can you make a Buddha by practicing Zazen?" Another Zen master, P1o2, comments, "Stop all your hankerings. Let the mildew grow on your lips. Make yourself like a perfect piece of immaculate fabric. Let your one thought be eternity. Let yourself be like dead ashes, cold and lifeless. Again, let yourself be like an old censer in a deserted village shrine." Putting your simple faith in this, discipline yourself accordingly. Let your body and your mind be turned into an inanimate object of nature, like a piece of stone or wood. When a state of perfect motionlessness and unawareness is obtained, all the signs of life will depart, and also every trace of limitation will vanish. Not a single idea will disturb your consciousness, when lo, all of a sudden, you will come to realize a light abounding in full gladness. It is like coming across a light in thick darkness. It is like receiving treasure in poverty. The 4 elements and the 5 aggregates are no more felt as burdens. So light, so easy, so free you are. Your very existence has been delivered from all limitations. You have become open, light, and transparent. You gain an illuminating insight into the very nature of things, which now appear to you as so many fairy-like flowers having no graspable realities. Here is manifested the unsophisticated self, which is the original face of your being. Here is shown bare the most beautiful landscape of your birthplace. There is but one straight passage open and unobstructed through and through. This is so when you surrender all, your body, your life, and all that belongs to your inmost self. This is where you gain peace, ease, non-doing, and inexpressible delight. All the sutras and sastras, kinds of sacred texts, are no more than communications of this fact. All the sages, ancient as well as modern, have exhausted their ingenuity and imagination to no other purpose than to point the way to this. It is like unlocking the door to a treasure. When the entrance is once gained, every object coming into your view is yours. Every opportunity that presents itself as available for your use. For are they not, however multitudinous, all possessions obtainable within the original being of yourself? Every treasure there is but waiting your pleasure and utilization. This is what is meant by once gained, eternally gained, even to the end of time. Yet really there is nothing gained. What you have gained is no gain, and yet there is truly something gained in this. For more information about Thomas Merton, please visit merton.org. Transcendent viewers, it was an honor to be in your presence on today's Words of Wisdom. Please tune in tomorrow for the second part of Thoughts on Zen by the Reverend Thomas Merton, vegetarian. Coming up next is Designing the Transportation of the Future, the Skyway Transport Systems, Part 2 of 2, right after Noteworthy News. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for more constructive programming. May your everyday life continue to be a beautiful reflection of the divine that you are.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.